you've got to learn how to generate a compelling vibe through projective expression. This is distinct from the verbal meaning of the words coming out of your mouth, okay? Because most people, they're like, what do I say? This is another big epiphany. One of the hugest epiphanies for me was this. They're not attracted to the content, they're attracted to the vibe. This is why we can go up and say, hey, what's up? This is why we can go up and talk about relatively banal things and have it be attractive because of the vibe. Now, what constitutes a vibe? What goes into constituting the non-verbal meaning aspect of vibe? What is energy?
Your emotion.
How do you project emotion?
Through your face.
Right, so again, the muscles of the face surrounding the eyes and the eyelids to an extent, and then the eye contact. This is what's sending out at the base level emotional messages. You need to become a master of this. Now, here's the problem. If you're trying to consciously direct and manipulate those energies, it's another example of attempting to assert predictive control, where you need to allow. So look, the face, the voice, the musicality of the voice, and the body language, all of these have intuition like minds of their own. Like there's an intellectual intuition that comes up with impulsive content, but then there's also instinctual understandings of how to express things with these. Okay, so again, the angry man does not need to consciously modify his behavior. He just gets fucking pissed. The face changes, the body changes, the voice changes, like it just changes of its own accord. You know, so if I give you, like one of the things we do in the mentoring, I'll like put out a series of attitude cards. And maybe you're telling a monologue and you'll have to adapt very quickly to change your attitudes. Now, sometimes we'll do those rapid fire because when we're setting an attitude, like say I pull an attitude like joyful or jealousy or hostile or depressed or melancholy or trite. Like if all of those words are messages to the mind as well as the face, voice, and body, all of which have intuitive understandings of how to express those things. So when we do those rapid fire, it's interesting because the mind will try to keep up. It'll be like, okay, well, how do I look jealous? Okay, and it'll start to think about it, but then it's on to the next. So by doing that, you can see it makes it visible as the mind tries to keep up, and thereby it makes the interference pattern noticeable. Like a lot of the things we do in mentoring, the exercises are designed to do two things, okay? They're designed to be diagnostic. We put additional demands on the face, the voice, the body, the intellect, the emotions, the intuition, so that basically what happens is the inhibition, like we magnify the demands, so the inhibition must rise up to meet the increased demand and suppress it. And thereby it becomes noticeable. So it's diagnostic. Because like we said, most of these inhibitions, you've held on to them for so long that they're now below your threshold of awareness. So again, we want to drag them out into the light. And exercising with this stuff goes contrary to pretty much everything that we've learned, which is what? Hide weakness. Obscure weakness. Put it out of your mind. Don't think about it. So again, through these exercises, we're dragging them into the light, making them visible. That's number one. Why? So now you can start the process of letting them go without shame, without guilt, without self-judgment, like, oh, I fucking suck because I have these inhibitions. It's like, no, to an extent, they're part of the human condition. Everyone has them to one degree or another. So again, we identify them through these diagnostic exercises, start the process of letting them go. That's number one. Number two, we're also expanding the range so it never has to be approached in practice, right? You expand the range so you can do whatever the fuck you want with your face, your voice, your body in any combination intuitively as the situation arises that demands it. So again, in exercise, practice what you can't do. In performance, allow what you can when necessary as dictated by the context of the situation. So again, That's the first thing that goes into creating a compelling vibe. So when we're doing these exercises, or even sitting here right now, you got to ask yourself, can you do anything you want with your face, your voice, your body in any combination? If the answer is no, then the question becomes, why not? Right? So you want to be able to do anything that is necessary. We've talked about how to generate a compelling vibe with this projective modes expression, but finally, beyond that, you need to make them like you and trust you, right? That's a big thing that goes into persuasion. So in order to do all of this, you've got to hit that RAS. You've got to get out of their peripheral consciousness and become emotionally relevant to their amygdala, okay? So what is the basic criteria that the RAS has for what's important? Number one, if it's not dangerous, ignore it. Number two, if it's not new and exciting, ignore it. Number three, if it is new, summarize quickly what it is, then forget the broad details. Number four, do not send anything to the intellect or cerebral cortex for problem solving unless it is a very, very unique situation. So up to 90% of your message has been discarded by the time it reaches their conscious awareness. This is why it's very, very important that it's got to pop. Right? Unless it's new and exciting, it will likely be ignored completely. This is why I don't like, hey, what's up? How's your night? It's not new, it's not exciting. Unless you're delivering it in some very, very interesting way. Like you're putting something on it here that's creating a very compelling delivery. It could work. And believe me, you can get there's a lot of power, particularly with this. A lot of fucking power here. This is something that I've been aware of even since the early days of doing this. I was like, I saw, I didn't understand or know how to articulate it, but I saw when I was interacting with somebody, I could like make tiny changes in my facial expression and change the entire tone of the interaction. Like they could be pissed and I could be like, and it would fix it. Or I could do like slightly self-deprecating looks after saying something outrageous, and it would make it okay. Like I could look disinterested when the friend came and they wouldn't interfere as much. Like little things like that. And again, things that are so minute that if you were to try to intellectually ponder them, it'd probably fuck you up more. Again, it really comes down to like an intuitive understanding and allowing, right? So again, if it's boring, ignore it. If it's dangerous, run away or fight it. If it's complicated, summarize it and give the cliff notes, right? So the thing is, what's the conventional wisdom? You know, if your pitch is good, if it's well presented, if you're likable, the audience will do what you propose or request. You know, pitch is good, information's all there, it's well presented, you're a likable fellow, they're gonna do what you propose. However, what you really want to focus on is that your proposal, number one, doesn't trigger warning or fear alarms. Number two, is recognized as something new, positive, exciting, delightful, awesome, thrilling. And why is this? Well, it's because, again, the RAS has that very, very specific criteria of what it brings into focus. It needs to be simple, it needs to be clear, it needs to be non-threatening, and above all, it needs to be intriguing and different. So in order to do this consistently, there are several strategies that have helped me, my associates, my coaching team, and thousands of students that I've had develop very, very powerful persuasive abilities. So what are several principles of persuasion? Well, first of all, you have frame control. You have ideas of scarcity, consistency, social proof, commonality. There's a lot that goes into this. You're trying to change their mood, their mind, and their willingness to do something. Right? Because you can change someone's mood, make them laugh. You can change their mind, although I'd say changing their mood is the easiest of the three. But I'd say ultimately the secret of getting people to comply with your requests and wishes lies in the way you structure those requests and how effectively you avail yourself of those tools that I just listed.